All right. Yeah, we clocked in. Hey, what's going on, party people? How's everyone doing tonight? Happy New Year, everyone. Now, if this is your first time here, welcome. It's certainly a great pleasure to have you here. I go by the name of Lespri. I am a spiritual healer. And essentially, as a spiritual healer, what I do pretty much is that I help people to become in alignment, meaning I help people to become mentally and emotionally balanced. And the whole idea of helping you to become mentally and emotionally balanced it's just so now you have the ability at this point to attain your highest level of consciousness. Another way of saying that, it's now you have the ability to become Christ-like, to become Krishna-like. Because when we're looking at, let's just say, Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, when we're looking at these figures, what they represent anybody or they are a representation of that highest level of consciousness. So therefore, anybody who have attained that highest level of consciousness, that's how you become Christ-like. That's how you become Krishna-like. That's how you become Buddha-like. And that's the idea behind it. So now it is very important for you to become mentally and emotionally balanced because when you do, only then can you see the bigger picture. Can you attain that highest level of consciousness? For instance, if your emotions are not in alignment with your intellect, you're not going to have the highest perspective. If you're depressed or if you have anxiety, you're not going to think clearly and vice versa. Now, if you're more on the intellect side, you're a logical person, you're suppressing your emotion, then you automatically becomes like Judge Dredd, because now you're missing out on a lot of small things that are really big things. Then everything becomes logical, and our life it's way bigger than just logic. You know what I'm saying? So then at this point, you become very rigid, you become very robotic. There's no emotions in you, and guess what, man? It's that you are out of balance. So for you to attain that highest level of consciousness, it's a must. You have to become mentally and emotionally balanced. Now, when I'm talking about being emotionally balanced, what I'm talking about here is that it's you having an understanding of what your emotions are, understanding your emotional patterns. And at this point, if there's any blockages, you can either transmute, change, you know, essentially, it's you having, let's just say, power over your emotions. It's you being in touch with your emotions. It's you being in control of your emotions. Now, being in control of your emotions doesn't mean, how sometimes most people would say not to raise your voice, what I'm saying, or, not to say certain words, or you maintain your composure. That shit right there has nothing to do with being emotionally balanced. What that is, it's you putting on a mask, and anybody could do it. And especially if you're not emotionally involved into the conversation too. I mean, there's a whole bunch of shit that could make you not raising your voice, or it could be this is the norm, this is what society tells you, this is how you behave. Meanwhile, you're not truly in touch with your emotions until now you're being triggered. That's why some people would tell you, everybody has that button. You got to find it. You know what I'm saying? But with me though, nigga, we're gonna find it together. We're gonna look for it together. But I can only speak from that perspective because I have successfully, mastered my emotions. And it's pretty much an ongoing process too. It's not something, okay, it's done, it's a done deal. No, it's a continuous process. So I constantly have to check with myself, be in touch with my emotions, understanding how I'm feeling. Why do I feel this way? Let's get to the bottom of it. Whatever the situation is, that's what it comes down to. And when we're talking about not raising your voice, and here's something else too, being emotionally balanced has absolutely nothing to do with sometimes you just gotta let a motherfucker know. I mean, if you ever heard that term, I mean, I love it personally because, sometimes you just let a motherfucker know. That's all. Listen, I'm not even mad. It's none of that. I'm expressing myself. I'm not being triggered. It's none of that shit. Nigga, fuck you. Or whatever the situation is. I love you. So being emotionally balanced, it's you being in touch with your emotions and now you have mastered, you have created your emotional pattern. You're not being triggered by something else. I mean, shit. If they're looking for a button, shit, have at it. You know what I'm saying? Because you're already comfortable with you. You know you. And in addition to that, I also help you to become mentally balanced. Now, it's the same baseline understanding here. Now, if you're dealing with your mind, you got to understand, how does your mind work? How are you being trained to think? Because when we're talking about your being mentally balanced, it's having more, I'm sorry, oh, it's having more self-awareness. How do you have more self-awareness if you're not aware of of you? Meaning you would have to be aware of your environment. You would have to be aware of your culture. You would have to be aware of, you know, you know, pretty much everything around you. Otherwise, how would you be mentally balanced? Or how would you be in control of your mind if your mind is being controlled by someone else or some sort of establishment or whatever the case is? So being mentally balanced is pretty much being it's being more in touch with your mental. Another way of saying that is becoming more self-aware. You understanding how were you trained to think, because all of that, and as you see in the title, we're going to talk about start looking at yourself differently, but you only can do that once you start to align with yourself. I think I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here, but we'll get to it. As a spiritual healer, pretty much in a nutshell, that's pretty much what I do and how I do it. Now, if you're coming back, you already know, baby. You already know. This is all for you. It's all for you. Nothing but love. You know exactly what we do here. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Let's break some bread. Let's help each other. You know what I'm saying? Come get your medicine. So, love you. Um, Now, as part of my routine, if you're coming back, you already know. This is that part. You're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. We know. Okay, now, if this is your first time, as part of my routine, I always take the time to tell you a little bit about spirituality. And the reason why I do that is because as a spiritual healer, spirituality is the foundation. It's where, I get my gems from. The knowledge, the wisdom, the mirror that I'm holding for you to look at yourself to see your reflection. That mirror, is what spirituality. I mean, it's spirituality. So now, when we're talking about, so it's only right for me to tell you a little bit about what spirituality is. But most importantly, I believe if you already understand the true meaning of spirituality, that alone, it puts you, it makes you very well advanced. When it comes for you to get to know who you are, because spirituality, it's you. But now when we're talking about you, you could see in the word spirituality, there's the word spirit, right? And then you could become spiritual. Now, when you become spiritual, all you're doing at this point is that you have acknowledged certain things about you. Now you understand you have a third eye. Now you understand you have chakra, and and that is because you have become a little more conscious of that. Then you have your chakras. Then you understand how important it is for you to meditate. Then you realize, oh shit, I'm living in a fucking electromagnetic field. Then your peace is important. Then nature, listening to it, all that good stuff that comes with it. It's simply you becoming a little more conscious of the person that you already, I mean, that you are. So that's why when we're talking about spirituality, it's you. And spirituality too, it pretty much embodies everything. It embodies religion as we know it, in terms of, let's just say, okay, here's one thing we would actually say in spirituality, right? We would say people behave like the God that you believe in. Now, the best way that I could describe this to you is like if I decide to become a Seventh-day Adventist right now, my Saturday is gonna be a different. I mean, it's gonna be different from your Saturday. So therefore, with the God that I have chosen to follow, I have created a different reality. I'm acting like my God because this God is asking me Saturday is the day that I rested. Then since I'm following that God, and that's the day that I also will be rested. When you see a lot of Christians coming up to you and tell you, Jesus is the only way. There's no other religion. Everything else, that's what is being said in their God. Their God is a jealous God. Their God, there's no other God, but you got to follow that. And that's why I tell you, you got to be careful about the God that you're choosing, because their behavior is a reflection of what their God is asking of them. And that's why I always tell people, if you understand that little much or that much, then you understand mythology is the greatest mind control of them all. Now, the difference, let's just say, if we're talking about Osiris, we're talking about our mythology. What we did there, it was a mythology that was used for you to free your mind. So what the colonizers did, or what the European did, is use your method, use your blueprint, because that same knowledge could set you free. It can also enslave you. Now they give you the knowledge. Now for you to know. Now you wouldn't say anything about anything without quoting the great book. And guess what? It is also said that in your book. This is the book you got to go by. Now your Bible becomes more than just the Bible. It's your everything. I know you like to feel like you're saying the meanest shit ever, but it's already written for you. You reading off the script. So you're doing good. That's why I don't argue with fools. But I'm saying that to say, dealing in spirituality, I'm able to see the bigger picture. Now, if I'm learning about, let's just say, Buddhism, their God, there's nowhere in their scripture where they mention fuck other gods, or this God is jealous. And as a result, guess what happened? They behave differently. And regardless of what religion you choose, you will be acting in accordance to whatever that God is. So now, when you're dealing with spirituality, you're looking at the bigger picture. And that's what we do here. I'm helping you to look at the bigger picture. Not to be enslaved by the words, but to be liberated by it. But all of that would have to would have to do with how are you looking at it, your perspective of it, because that's really what it comes down to. It's either you eating from the tree of life or you eating from the tree of good and evil. And the main differences are when you're eating from the tree, let's just say of good and evil. Now you have duality. Whenever you have duality, there's a competition, there's a war. One has to be better than the other. It's a gang mentality. That's what your society is built out of. Good and evil, duality. But when you're looking at it from a tree, from eating the tree of life perspective, now you're dealing with polarity, meaning you understand everybody's good and everybody's bad. Is it not? Do you know anybody who's, even if we say this, he's a fucked up motherfucker, right? And isn't that what your Jesus was telling you? Even a bad man or a bad motherfucker, let's just say, wouldn't give stone to his children to feed them. So over here, I'm dealing with I eat from the tree of life, the broader understanding, and the real, and that's truly where and that's the foundation of our action and the world that we have created. When you're talking about the matrix or you're talking about the society that we're living in, it's a gang mentality. It's duality. It's Democrat, Republican. It's Bloods and Crips. It's the same underlying, although it may sound different, it may be different, but it's the same baseline understanding. And when you're looking at shit from that perspective, that's when you the whole competitive idea comes in. That's when survival of the fetus comes in. That's when what I'm saying, like, because now you're concerned with the image, and whoever has the best image, that's what you're gonna go by. That's what you're dealing with. Where the self, it's not even, it's not factor in. But anyway, I think I'm getting a little bit too ahead of myself here. Going back to spirituality, it's you. It embodies religion. It embodies everything else. Now, most people don't look at spirituality the way I'm giving it to you right now, or I'm telling you, I'm describing it to you, because most of us, the misconception that we have is that we only identify ourselves with our physical self, with our external part. We don't take into account the spirit that we are animated by. So your definition in this world, that's why you go in the society, everybody's living their lives based on who they should be instead of who they are. This is all by design. And that's profanity, to be honest. This is worshiping idol. This is pretty much gross, because out of that, that's where you getting everything that you're seeing, the world that you're living in. So now, going back to spirituality, essentially it's just your life. Now, another part of spirituality, just like when you see in every religion, there's a text, there's a sacred text that it comes with. Like the Christian have the Bibles. The Bible is pretty much the foundation of that religion, or how this Jesus is being perceived, or the same thing with spirituality. Now, what you're dealing with something called the occult. You're dealing with esoteric knowledge, meaning these are the type of knowledge that that goes beyond what you see. In fact, that type of knowledge is intended to give you a deeper understanding of who you are. And again, that's what spirituality is dealing with. So now we're dealing with the manual aspect of it, with the scriptures, with the wisdom. And it's called the occult, is dealing with anything hidden, because we understand that this world is not what it appears to be. So therefore, the meaning of this world, you have to go beyond what you see to truly understand it. And that's why the Indian called this world Maya. I think that was the best thing. I mean, it couldn't be said any better. They call it Maya, a world of illusion. And that's the world that we're living in. Things are not as they appear to be. Doesn't mean fake, because when you're talking about fake, you are insinuating there's a real one. Now, the real one is happening here, but the way it's happening, it's not what you think it is. That's why, in fact, yesterday I had a recording where I was talking about when the occult will tell you, in the occult, we use what is called a lot of, that's when we understand there's nothing is really simple. That's why you'll see a lot of the great, especially the ascended masters, you'll see even with Jesus, he would use nature to display whatever the fuck he's talking about. But the way he's saying it to display the wisdom in it, it's like he's using the ordinary shit, but yet it's a lot more profound than what it appears to be. Then now you're dealing with the tone, you're dealing with the mystery of how things are being said. And I remember, when was it? In my last recording, I was telling you in the occult, I'll give you a perfect example, and I'm going to make it quick, is that we'll tell you, well, before you get with a woman, you have to have sex with your mother, have sex with your sister, and have sex with your daughter. Now, it sounds gross, but it's also being said that way because it's not intended for you to take it little or two. It wouldn't make sense. But what that is telling you is that when you think of your mother, you have a caregiver. Then you have your sister, you have your connection with your sister, you're looking out for her. And then now, when you have your daughter, then now this is someone you're taking care of. So when you embrace those three parts, you have embraced the woman in you. Because what makes a woman a woman? She's a mother, she's a sister, she's a motherfucking daughter, mother, sister. And what you're doing is you are getting in touch with that part of your emotional side of you. Because if we're saying women are emotional, then on how the fuck would you relate to her if you don't relate to your emotional side? That's the idea behind it. That's what this is telling you. But it's being said in a way that is kind of gross, but yet it's being said intentionally that way too, not because they're perverts and shit, but it's because this it pushes you to go beyond what is being said, because the occult is dealing with the hidden culture, is dealing with that hidden side in you. That's why some of the basic shit you'll learn about the occult. is that they'll let you know what? You have a conscious mind, you have a subconscious mind, you have a third eye. All of this shit, all shit that you already have, but they're shedding light into that dark side of you. Out of the darkness comes the light. So it's helping you, it's giving you a deeper understanding of who you are. And that's why that knowledge, that's why I call it a manual for your self mastery. Now, if you really want to talk about the Bible, I strongly recommend the Kabbalion as your Bible because what I think is brilliantly done in the Kabbalion is that, and as they also stated, is that they help you to understand the mental nature of the universe. And if you understand that, you are a reflection of that. That's what it means for you to be. You are created at God in God's image. That's what it means. You have those particles in you. God is the beginning and the end. Guess what? You are too. I am a father. I'm a son. Like there's not one thing. I mean, I'm all of it and I'm none of it. The Alpha and the Omega. That is your nature. At one point, I was a son. Now I am a father. Still a brother, whatever the fuck. But it's like it's not one thing to me. I am all of it and I am none of it. And I'm none of it because I'm all of it. Anyway, I mean, I hope you. I mean, listen. It's woo. You know what I'm saying? Your nature. So spirituality. That's why I tell you, like, your purpose is for you to be Christ-like. Even Jesus told you that. What? Like he became the highest state of mind for you not to be any of that. In fact, he's inviting you to be even more than him. But how many of us are is really walking that path though? Well, first you need to understand it. And that's where spirituality comes in. Again, it's your fucking life. It's you scratching your ass, walking around, sweating, killing other people, or loving other people. It's all of it. And now we use the occult to deal with the science behind it. And that's what we're doing here. We're breaking bread. You know what I'm saying? Open your mouth, motherfucker. Body of Christ. That's all that shit is. But again, those are esoteric knowledge, meaning they were not intended for you to take little. And because, and here's something else too, because you don't have the proper understanding of who the Christ is, that's why even though you eat you get the bread, but you have not become part of them. See, those would be the ones who are talking about Jesus, but who's not becoming him. And to become him, to eat that bread, just like we were just talking about now, the body of the Christ, it's to embody that understanding. Because that consciousness, how do you change? You change by understanding more or having some sort of understanding you didn't have before. And that's what the Christ does for you. When you eat his flesh, again, not to be taken literal. I mean, I hope so. I mean, hey, I'm not putting anything by you, motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Hey, at this point, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But I'm hoping even that part you understand it's not literal. And if it's not, what does it mean? So now you also, again, you dealing with the hidden side of shit. And what the occult pretty much, or the spirituality is really shedding light on, is making you whole, making you reconnect for you to become perfect. Meaning now you have successfully united, or having the masculine and the femininity. Oh, and by the way, when I was talking about the sex part, sex is a union. When I was talking about, you got to have sex with your mother, and then you got to unite with those different aspect, feminine traits, so you could relate to somebody else. In other words, it's almost the same thing as telling you got to love yourself for you to love somebody else. So those are some of the things that you have to know in order for you to survive in this realm, which is Maya, a world of illusion. Now, I hope you guys got it. You know what I'm saying? So essentially, spirituality is just it's you. And those manuals that our ancestors left us are a testimony to us, of us. That's why the work is already done. You need to wake up to it. That's the idea of Jesus already died for you. All you got to do is accept it. The truth has to be lived. You have to relieve that shit. That's how you reconnect. You become a member again of your higher self, of your true self. And that's why those manuscripts are here in the land of the lost, for you to find yourself. That's what you're dealing with. Again, it goes by so many different names. And, I kind of like that language too, but we're just going to keep it simple. You know what I'm saying? When I'm on my mysterious bullshit, I mean, I know how to talk that shit and I love it. I mean, the language in it. Oh my God. I love that shit. you know? So again, and this is also revealing, that's how, having that alchemist language, you having that hermetics, and that's what all of our ancestors, or those mysterious men, again, if you know your essence, you are the mystery. You are the puzzle that you need to put together. That's what self-consciousness is. You becoming more aware of who the fuck you are, your essence. And by you knowing who you are, guess what? It sets you free. All that good stuff that that you hear from the Bible or whatever the fuck. Again, that is your fucking regular fucking life. A lot of us get lost because out of ignorance. You're lost in the city of in the land of the lost. And ironically, that's why people like me would be considered as light worker. You feel me? Or spiritual healer. You know what I'm saying? Hey, listen, it's fine. Hey, I'm a pretty fair guy. If there's anything else you think I might go by, it's okay. Right? Just make sure you judge me right. If you're gonna judge me, motherfucker, just give me a fair trial. That's all I'm asking. And for you to do that, you got to know who the fuck you are. Anyway, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. So, tonight we're going to be talking about looking at yourself from a different perspective, or looking at yourself differently. Because, okay, let me summarize here. pretty much, right? So what I have been doing lately, because I realize, this is about self consciousness. I mean, so we got to talk about the self, because in let's just say the society that we're living in, everybody's concerned with the self image, and because you're concerned with your self image, your self esteem takes a back seat. In fact, did you guys? I was laughing about that earlier. There's a guy. He works in, what is it? Wells Fargo. He was stealing money. That shit. I was watching this shit, and I'm like, he was stealing money, and all the money that he was stealing, right? He went and he got him a Benz. He was taking pictures on in his social media with cash, holding like phones and shit, and doing all that shit. And then the title said, "Dumb." Now, granted, I definitely agree. But let me tell you something. There's a lot more that's going on here than just that guy being dumb. Because first of all, for this motherfucker to steal that money the way he stole and the amount of money that he was able to steal, because now they're using his social media as, let's just say, as evidence. But they didn't have any other evidence as far as I'm concerned. Well, I didn't go too deep into the story. But the bottom line of what I'm saying here, what you're seeing that these people are doing, it's not necessarily because they're dumb. Yes, there is a factor of dumb in it too. I mean, I'm not going to take that away. But for the most part, it's the self image. That's why, that's what people do to pretty much keep up with the Joneses. And when you're dealing with that, you know what I'm saying? That's why niggas would tell you, man, hey, money's money, man. Money's money, baby. I look good out here. You understand what I'm saying? But I was also saying that, I mean, it didn't have anything to do. I mean, it has everything to do with what we're talking about here. Because that guy, I mean, granted, I certainly agree if you want to say he's dumb. But all I'm saying is there's a lot of other shit that's taking place here than just this motherfucker being dumb. And to say that he's dumb too and not to acknowledge how the fuck he was still, I mean, you can't be that dumb stealing that amount of money. I'm just saying. Now, I'm not recommending this for you to be smarter. Disclaimers, you know what I'm saying? Disclaimers. That's not what we're doing here. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying here, for educational purposes, for you to understand, shit, like this, I mean, there's got to be other stuff. Well, the validation, because when you're looking at yourself from self-image, it's almost like you're looking at yourself through what other people are saying. That's why when you are part of that society, you become a people pleaser. It's like, yeah, and that's why you would care if other people are looking at you a certain way. In fact, you would do everything in your power for them not to look at you, let's just say, for truly who you are. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, but the image that you have. So you guys are a bunch of fakers out here. Bunch of clones. So Tyrone was cloned way before Taiwan got cloned, niggas. Anyway, so what that has to do with our conversation tonight is that when you're not in accordance to yourself, then you automatically become a people pleaser. And the society that we're living in, we are trained to be people pleaser. We are trained to live our life based on what we should be, based on that image. It's not by mistake that a lot of people are struggling with exactly what do I really like? I know I got to do this because that's why I got to survive. That's what, and then now you telling me this is, and then your parents, whatever the fuck. I mean, society as a whole, the understanding because, and them too, because they love you and out of ignorance too. Because if the blind is leading another blind, you already know where the fuck you going in the hole, motherfucker. So that's what you are witnessing. And to make matters even worse, because we're looking at life from that perspective, now you got to put the self on blast. Like, fuck yourself. It's being cocky, it's being this and that. Meanwhile, keeping up with the Joneses, that's really what cocky is. To be honest. If you want to talk about cocky, fucking ignorant, and showing off and not having the thing for what it means or for its use, but now that thing is your identity or having a car and that shit, yeah, that's really yeah, that's something else. And what we're saying here is that you have to embrace the self. And even when we're talking about the practicality of, devaluing yourself, it doesn't make any sense. For you to grow, well, your growth comes with a certain amount of accountability. And that accountability has to come from you looking at you or you taking charge of you, being aware of your action. But for you to even get to that, I mean, you have to start looking at you first. So it's not by mistake again that in that type of society, it's really difficult for people to take accountability because taking accountability referring to them, me. Nah, it wasn't me. It wasn't you. Y'all bunch of shaggies out here, man. It wasn't you. No matter what you did, you've been triggered. You did all the bullshit, and then it's still not you. Now, if you want to call it insanity, I definitely agree. And then you do the same shit over and over. Now you're expecting a better result. It's a never ending, like you're chasing your own tail. That's why you have to you got to keep accomplishing shit. But again, it's important for you to understand the science of ignorance too, like I always tell you guys, because you need the balance. That's why you have to walk both the light and the darkness or the dark. So now going back to, so as a result, for you to be born again, meaning now you are reconnecting to yourself, you seeing the spiritual aspect of you instead of just the physical part. That's how you're being born again. Of course, like Jesus said, it's not you going back into your mother's womb and being born again, but now it's you looking at things from a higher perspective. And as you're doing that, well, if you're going to be born again, you're going to have to learn how to crawl again. You're going to have to learn how to walk again. And ultimately, your goal is now is to become the Christ-like. And that's what the whole journey is pretty much about. So now that you understand, let's just say it's the self. Now let's delve into the self. That's how you gain your muscles. That's how you get stronger. But of course, you're gonna fall because you never dealt with the self before. That's why when you're being vulnerable, this is you being naked. And it's good for you to do and keep doing it because what you're doing is you're building your inner strength. It may feel weak, but you're getting stronger, baby. Trust me. That's like you benching, baby. Like you benching that. Yeah, I mean, you're doing it one or two times. Keep going. You are getting stronger. You're building your inner strength. And with the inner strength comes the self confidence, comes with you believing in yourself. Woo! It gets better from there, baby. But now, you know what I'm saying? Let me just hold your hands for a second. So what I've been doing pretty much, that's why I've been aggressively, I should say, been banging on yourself. Self, motherfucker. Because as you're being born again, that's who you're going to be dealing with. But now dealing with that, that's where your shadow work comes in, and pretty much what we're doing, what I've been doing with you guys is it's technically doing we're doing the shadow work together. When you understand, like when you self blame, and then you understand you need to replace that self blame perspective with a self care perspective. Because when you keep blaming yourself, that's why a lot of people you see the haters, they never do anything. First of all, you have to understand the science of a hater. A hater is a motherfucker because of the world that he first of all, he's a good learner. He doesn't go beyond what was given to him. So because, for instance, when you're dealing with self-image, it's either you have it or you don't have it. This is some of the chain reaction that it comes with when you're dealing with your self-image. So therefore, that's why you're keeping up with the Joneses. That's why you see people, let's just say, they 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 want you to do good, but they don't want you to do better than them. I understand what they mean. They are referring to the small, the fucking haters, that little small areas, because ultimately that's what you're dealing with. We're dealing with people's shadows. Some of them are woke or awakened, such as myself, and I know another fella when I know him, when I see him, or another fella light worker, if you want to put it that way. So we understand who's doing the work or not, because the message, I mean, it speaks for itself. But most importantly, it would also reveal in their behavior, in their vibration, in their frequency, because we have become the Christ-like. So truthfully, what you're truly dealing with, again, and I'm trying to get you to see it from the occult perspective, from looking at it's like looking at the matrix from the dots. You're dealing with shadows, you're dealing with other people's spirit. Even if you're dealing, even a simple thing as a relationship, it's not as easy as it appears to be. Hopefully, by now, you should know. Let's just say if I'm dating a girl or if I'm dating somebody, I'm also dating their mom and their dad. I'm dating the way they were brought up, what they had to go through. I'm dealing with their energy, their state of mind. That is who that person is. And that's why you'll see sometimes some people may be harder than others. They're not open because of all that shit. And that's when you motherfuckers now are talking about relationship, like, you know what I'm saying, but you don't see the bigger picture. You stuck in dick and pussy as if, like, do you know anybody who's gonna have a great relationship but who's a fucking asshole? A relationship, a, it's just a part of you. It's how you relate. You are the shit. That's why if you call in a great relationship, it's gonna be two motherfuckers who have changed or evolved themselves, and then now they come together. Now they could be vulnerable to one another. You guys are doing this shit backward. You see what I'm saying? You trying to get in through the back door. Now, come on, man. We royal blood over here, man. I'm walking through the front door, baby. You're cheating yourself, vagabond. You know what I'm saying? You're not welcome in this fucking house. You know what I'm saying? Security's tight around here. Oh, you got to walk through the front door, baby. Seek the kingdom of God yourself. And even if you don't believe in him, he believes in you. Don't worry about that. He loves you. Isn't that what your great book is talking about? Do you really understand what you're reading, though? Now that's different. It's how you're looking at it, King. How you're looking at it. You know what I'm saying? You're looking at the shit sideways, man. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you gotta look at it nicely, man. You gotta look at it for what it is. But anyway, going back to this whole thing, yeah. So I've been pretty much trying to emphasize on you on the self. But most importantly, what's also taking place here, as you understanding, focusing more into yourself, that's how you develop your self esteem, your self confidence, and all that shit. Then there's a chain of action that it comes with. Because when you're dealing with the self, your passion, it will take you somewhere. So just follow it. Doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. That's it. It'll take you to where you need to be. That's your GPS. And as you going through that process, the transformation, the life, and all, that's why you'll see. And for me, I know personally, that's why I can relate to a lot of artists. Now, you don't have to be a musician, any type of artist, I can relate to it because they are living their art. There is a transformation that's taking place as they're either producing music or if they're doing movies, whatever the fuck. And me as a priest, a spiritual healer, I'm evolving through the words. And I could see that in them. Even in boxing, when you're looking at AJ, all of these motherfuckers throughout their fights, them dealing with themselves, they're all transforming. You can look at their conversation, how what they used to talk. Look at my you looking good, baby. Like you looking good out here, man. You are my champ, nigga. You know what I'm saying? This motherfucker's so bad now. He's the true champ outside of the ring. Oh, he's a bad motherfucker. Oh, I see you, baby. She, I see you, Iron Mike. Hmm. You know what I'm saying? A businessman, whatever the fuck. And this is the transformation that people are not talking about. So does well, can you change? But you gotta want it though. They asked this motherfucker what was his best. This nigga said his best time wasn't the bitches that he fucked, wasn't the $1 million he was making, was when he was in jail. That's how I know he was a quality guy. Because that was the time he got to really reflect and grow. Yo, this shit is in front of you, man. I know I see it. I know it when I see it. This is the light. Now this nigga, he's the Christ light. You know what I'm saying? And now he's helping other motherfuckers out too, man. Anyway, get out of here, Mike. I love you, baby. That's all. You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying all of that to say, and that I went through that transformation myself too. All of us, you know what I'm saying? The only, I mean, that's what makes me, this is the work that I'm doing. And that's why for me, this is a privilege. I'm honored to be doing this shit. You know what I'm saying? Not just for myself, but if you somehow could eat from my flesh, you'll be good. Do you get the point? Or are you saying, oh, this motherfucker think he's Jesus? Yes! Yes! Because I know, because I know. And transformation only occurs in, that's the only process. Jesus Christ. Y'all niggas wild. Anyway, going back to the whole, yourself and all that good shit. So I guess in my last recording, I was talking about, to talk to yourself nicely or talk to yourself nice. And what I was referring to, is to nurture yourself, right? Is to see now. I mean, because at first, because I mean, if we're starting from the very beginning, right? So you were looking at yourself from the self image. You weren't dealing with the self at all. Then now you got to at least look at the motherfucker. You do have a self, right? You know what I'm saying? You can feel the emotion sometimes. You feel the intuition. You feel the dream that maybe you should go this way. I mean, just to acknowledge that. You know what I'm saying? I get it. I get it. We're gonna go as slow as I can. Hey niggas, I'm doing the best I can. Take it easy on me. All right, take it easy on me. So now you have, you accept the self. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's listen, man. We all had to start somewhere. Then that acknowledgement. Now, I mean, well, let's take it a step further. Now you got to nourish the self. You support the self. I already talked about the self support and how important the support system is. I know for me, I was able to see the difference in me because in my growing up, I didn't have a lot of support. I became, I thought I was doing everything myself. And it was very hard for me to, it's something I had to change. Like, ask for help. Ask for help, nigga. Ask for help. Come on, let's do it. Doesn't make you a bitch ass nigga. Doesn't make you weak. Ask for help. We all need help. And today I'm asking for help. You know what I'm saying? And the truth is, you never did anything by yourself. I mean, I understand. I did take pride, and I still do take pride. And I invested my time. I chose to read books. I chose to do shit that will benefit me, and I'll forever be grateful for that. But at the same time, I also got to acknowledge, and that's why I'm doing this work too. There was a motherfucker that was talking, and I was listening to. Now, granted, I was open to the message, but how can I do everything by myself? Even as I was going, even in my college days, what I'm saying, I had a few teachers, what I'm saying, who gave me a few jewels that allows me to align myself. They did some realignment on me by giving me the necessary knowledge and wisdom for me to guide myself. Do you see what I'm saying? I had to learn. just like I was telling you guys, that was some shit I had to learn myself too. Like learn how to embrace both side of me, both me being dependent and also me being independent. In fact, I came to realize the better dependent I am, the better independent I'm gonna be. The reality is we all depend on one another. If you're gonna get your own spot, well, you're gonna be depending on your job. Now I get it. You're giving them your time. There's an exchange, granted, yet you still depend on it. Because if that company shuts down, you're gonna have to look for another job. And even if you have your own business, it doesn't even matter. Guess who you're gonna be depending on now? Employees, people to do the work. So they depend on you, you depend on them. But yet you still be able to maintain your independence. You got your own house, you got your own car. You know what I'm saying? You travel, you know what I'm saying? You go out on vacation. What's up, girl? Oh shit, you vacationing out there. You know what I'm saying? Taking your pictures and shit. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Going to Jamaica and shit. Look. All right, let me stop. Let me stop. Oh shit. Hmm. You know what I'm saying? You're doing the vacay thing. You know what I mean? But just to show you, you know what I'm saying? Again, going back to the whole polarity stuff, it is our essence. And when you understand that about you, there's nothing weak about it. Just like when you understand your strength and your weaknesses, it doesn't make you weak, man. It's just human nature. We're both good and bad. Now, how you deal with it, that's totally on you. You know what I'm saying? And even the bad part of you too, that's your brother. That's why in the occult we deal with the science of ignorance. You need to understand the dark side as much as you need to understand the light side. I mean, the light side. But anyway, there's so much shit to talk about. Let's go back. Let's be focused here, right? So now, because now what we're talking about here, as you're delving more into yourself, you're nurturing yourself. Now, what you're doing, what's going to happen is you're going to start looking at yourself in differently. I know for me, when I always tell people I found my beauty, meaning some of the things that I had to reassess my strength and weaknesses. Because then I also realized too, some of the things that I thought was a weakness, they were not. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? But to me, they were because I was going by the self image. I'll give you a perfect example. Like, I know for me, at one point, especially because I went to college in PA, right? On Market Street. If you're from Philadelphia, you know, nigga. So, being, social, I mean, I did a lot of social shit. You hanging out with other people, you hanging out with friends. I mean, it's a lot of social activities that are taking place. But then there used to be time where I used to feel awkward, right? And because of the fake conversations, and that was when I started to really become myself. I was crawling, been born again, but I was going through the process. And I couldn't understand like the whole fake conversations. Like I just couldn't deal with it. You know what I'm saying? Just having a conversation, just to talk about the weather. It's like, yo, man, you don't want to be awkward by not saying anything. Well, let's talk about the weather, yo. Did you see the game last night? No, motherfucker, I don't give a fuck. But better yet, why me being quiet? I mean, it's nigga. Clearly, I don't have a fucking issue. I'm a live motherfucker. But it was the conversation. Like who gives a fuck? Okay, the weather. What about it? Do you got your coat on? The fuck you want to talk about? So for me, it wasn't too much of social anxiety that I had or anything like that, but the awkwardness comes in the nature of the conversations. So now, as I became more myself, now I control the fucking narrative. I mean, if you want to talk to me, we're gonna have a good conversation, nigga. Fuck your weather, fuck the game, depending if it was a good game or if I saw it. But I'm not gonna spend my time LeBron, Michael Jordan. Who gives a fuck? I don't. Now that I'm not doing. You know what I'm saying? Fuck out of here. For what? You know what I'm saying? If we had a good game last night, I saw it like, well, lately I'm pretty much into boxing nowadays. You know what I'm saying? So if we're talking about a fight, you know what I'm saying, then, fight mixed styles and all that shit, then okay. You know what I'm saying? But it's not necessarily from a fan perspective because this is the guy you love, like all that bullshit. Nah, man. If we going to analyze two different boxers, right? We're looking at their strength and their weaknesses. At the end of the day, if I think this is a match I can't really predict, hey, may the best man win. And the best man that night is going to be the one who's going to win anyway, because anybody can have a bad night. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of what their skills are. So there's a bunch of other shit that actually factors in. But anyway, I'm saying that to say, if I'm gonna have a conversation, I'm gonna have a conversation. I want to have something that would add values to me. So at first, I used to say to myself, "Am I a little bit socially awkward?" Because even the conversation, I wasn't comfortable. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like I was faking too. But then when I started, into myself, fuck that. Nah, man. I ain't talking about that, man. I'd rather be quiet if you guys don't mind. I mean, I value my fucking peace, nigga. Get the, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you gotta let a nigga know too. Oh, I'll go from 0 to 100. Respectfully, lovingly, like shit. Like I'm good. Do you see what I'm saying? So, okay, I was saying that to say, as I started to look at myself from a different angle, as I'm crawling now, I'm delving more into myself. And as you will, I mean, that is the process. There's a bunch of shit you're gonna have to redefine yourself. But that re, redefining yourself, my bad, you redefining yourself is truly at the same time you being your true self at the same time. And that's the science of you finding your beauty. I'm letting this shit out tonight. That's your beauty, motherfucker. Look good. Go out there. Let them know you are the light of the world, baby. Don't be afraid to be who you are. You know what I'm saying? But all of that, again, it's with the self. That's why you gotta look at the self in high regards. That's your treasure. You know what a treasure is? That's a treasure. I know for me, I'll sell everything to keep this thing. In fact, shit, nothing else matters. But also everything else matters too. But if it comes to, you know what I'm saying? No, this is it. Oh, I'm good. I'm good, good. I'm satisfied, fulfilled, happy. And that's what they're saying. Make yourself fucking happy. But what you're truly doing is to find yourself though. by going through. I mean, you have to deal with the psychological aspect. Again, you're doing the shadow work. You know what I'm saying? I know some people like I remember like, yo, this mother like, yo, man, like, some people feel like dumb and shit. Like, that's not true. Nobody's dumb. But there's a lot of dumb motherfuckers too. But hear me out. What makes them dumb? It's not because they're naturally dumb. No one is perfect. I mean, not perfect. No one, like, what the fuck do you mean? Like, have you ever learned anything? Well, if you learn anything, you were successfully able to learn it. What you're gonna see, what you're calling these dumb motherfuckers, is that they're not spending time doing more shit that would help them to elevate. And here's something else too. That's why when you start to know yourself, it's like there's a bunch of shit like that are somehow being dismissed. That's how now I'm able to see beyond the veil. That's how knowing the truth automatically set you free. Because when you're becoming more conscious of yourself, meaning you're becoming more aware of certain things, like just like I was just telling you, nobody's fucking dumb because you have the ability to learn and you have learned some shit. And that motherfucker who's dumb could teach you some shit that he know that you don't fucking know. But a lot of us, what you're truly calling dumb, is a motherfucker who practiced dummy shit. And to tell you the truth, that's really what it comes down to. You have the motherfucker who's putting the work in himself, like I have. Like, what the fuck? You think I didn't put no work in me? And then you have the motherfucker now who's not doing that. Oh, going back to the haters, I just wanted to close out that point. Is that when you're looking at a hater, the motherfucker is already thinking in terms of self-image. Is either he has it or he doesn't have it. So when you have it, he doesn't have it. You automatically lucky. That's why a hater never see the amount of work you do. A hater never see your accomplishment. It's always the fucking results. But you see it that way because you don't understand even yourself. And that's the shit Michael Jordan was telling you niggas, Kobe Bryant was telling you niggas, yo, that summer this nigga went and practiced, practice, practice, practice. He put the work where? In himself. So the whole idea of we have to devalue yourself, this shit is crazy. That shit don't even hold water. There's no practicality in it at all. Zero benefit. But to sound good, to be politically correct, or to be accepted as being humble. Bullshit. Like you jerking off. This is jerk off. You're playing yourself, dude. The fuck, man. But anyway, so now as you start looking yourself from a different perspective, and eventually you will, because as you're getting to know the self more, you're becoming more aware. Just like as I was going through that social awkwardness, if you want to call it that way, then I realized, nah, man, that's nothing. I didn't have any fucking issues. All I needed to be just be more of me. Okay, the weather, whatever the fuck, or if I want to be quiet, I just want to be quiet. Why do I have to speak because you're speaking? You see what I'm saying? But me having to see that truth in me, man, you talking about free? Hey, yeah. Like that's why I don't give a fuck about how you feel about me. And here's something else too. As you're gonna get to know yourself, it's important. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you don't want to be blinded by what other people are saying to you. But because I've done my work, I also understand when people are projecting. Because what a hater's doing is projecting hate on you, hoping that he wants you to hate yourself because he hates you. That's why a hater, they always create obstacle for you. They're doing that shit on purpose because what they're doing is because I don't have it, you can't have it. That's the crab in the barrel mentality. Yes. And that's who you're dealing with all around you. Like you could know a motherfucker for years, but as you're going through your transformation, because that shit is internal, and that motherfucker didn't go through his internal bullshit. Now here you are shining. Your light become his problem. You know, and this is all now. If you want to call that the war between good and evil, because ultimately this is the shadow that you're dealing with. Now you have associated yourself with yourself, and then their shadows has overpowered them. And those are the foundation for what you call your criminals too. They acting out of jealousy. You're gonna see. It was funny how for some reason I was on some detective shit, and I started watching a lot of those cases. You know, looking at the fucking the detectives, seeing how they do shit, how they question motherfuckers. Okay, okay, I got it. This what you do? Shit, do that shit in my sleep, motherfucker. Tip my balls. You know what I'm saying? And better yet, there was the one thing I was watching where the guy he actually bring in the guy who actually committed the crime, but he didn't catch on to it. And it totally makes sense. Because what these motherfuckers are doing, they only go with their intellect. So they're asking questions. Of course, they're looking at cues, your body, again, your intellect. But tapping into something is different. Like I could know some shit. I don't have the proof, but I know. You're gonna give me the proof. I want you to give me the proof. It's different. Anyway, why the fuck am I talking about this? Hmm. Okay. Um, going back. Hold up. Let me mix this up here. You know what I'm saying? Bam. You know what I'm saying? Please take a second. You know what I'm saying? If you gotta pee, this is a good time to do so. Or if you gotta light your shit up again, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You gotta light that fire. Now, yeah. So you gotta be careful because as I started knowing myself too, then I started seeing that other people were projecting themselves to me. That's why people who can't do something, they'll tell you you can't do it. No, motherfucker. Jay-Z was talking about that shit. I totally get it. See, that's a level of enlightenment that he had to attain. And as you're doing the self work, you're gonna see it. Because the clearer you become to you, then you'll be able to see others. Trust me. You want to put yourself in the highest regard because there's nothing to be done without you. Not loving somebody, not whatever the fuck else. So when you start looking at yourself differently, it would also, ironically, you'll be looking at other people differently too. That's why I was telling you, you got to be careful even in what people say about you, because in most cases, and you got to be blunt too. We're not saying lying to yourself here. You'll know the difference. If you know, you know. Like for me, I know when somebody's projecting themselves to me, and I know when somebody's actually talking to me. Because again, when they're doing that, come on, man. You know what I'm saying? It's always, what I'm saying, because they don't have a self knowledge neither. They don't know who they are, of course. They're speaking out of fear, out of ignorance. Now their shadow, it's what? I just don't want to look at the light. You know what I'm saying? Then now when you're dealing with your hater, so I wanted to, what I'm saying, you're dealing with the motherfucker who, if he doesn't have it, you're not gonna get it, and he'll do his best. That's that's what you're dealing with. It's all psychological. We are spiritual beings, and because he's looking at life from a self-image perspective, they only look at the end result. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, what I'm saying? But that's not the way life is. It's like because they're concerned with the image, they're they're not in touch with even the reality that's in front of them. They can't even see it. Meanwhile, everybody who's truly making progress in life, come on, man, they came from A to B, this A to Z. That's how it goes. You know what I'm saying? No one just woke up one day and just, oh my God, like, nah, man, you gotta put the work in. Now, if you're smart, you just have the ability to learn quicker. Just like I was going back, nobody's really dumb. You know what I'm saying? But when you understand, you dumbing yourself down. That's what you're doing. It's either you building or you destroying. Every action you take every day in your life, how is it helping you? Are you spending time in the things that will help you grow? I mean, now if you that's what makes you dumb. Now that's what I call dumb. But not because you don't have an ability to learn. Do you see what I'm saying? Or not because you don't know shit at all. That's not true. That's not even true. I mean, it's not true. It's not even reality because I don't know anybody that don't know anything at all. Do you? Do you? So let me know. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's very important. See, as you start to look at yourself, as you're getting to know the self better, truly what you're doing is not truly looking at the self better. Maybe I should change the title. But anyway, I guess I'll figure it out. It's truly you getting to know your true self. And as you're doing so, things that you may thought maybe wasn't too good about you, then now they become your beauty. Technically, what you're doing, you got to turn your rocks into gold. To the pure, all is pure. But first, it's the mind that you have to purge. You got to purify your mind. And that purification, it's you finding who you are because your essence is beautiful, baby. Trust me. As you listen, find your beauty. Even if you're ugly. Okay, let's just say somebody who's ugly. You still have beauty. Hey, guess what, man? And ugly people have families too, guys. Yeah. Ugly, fat people, they have family, they get married, they're living a life, man. So even to look at yourself from being an ugly perspective, it doesn't make sense. And everybody has something about them too. You know what I'm saying? Like you might be ugly in the face, but you're tall. Or you may have a beautiful smile. Whatever the fuck. Who gives a fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like for me, because I found my true beauty, anything else doesn't even matter. So everything looks good to me. You know what I'm saying? Say, I'm a good looking man. Say, all around, baby. Oh, shit, from top to bottom. You tell me what side I look better on, baby. Ah, all right. Mm, you know what I mean? You tell me. And no one can serve two gods because I found my inner beauty. Guess what? I mean, when I say my outer beauty doesn't matter, it doesn't mean like I'm not gonna take care of myself. Doesn't mean I'm not gonna take a shower. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna clean up, motherfucker. That's not what it means. But what that mean is that's not what I identify with. It is part of me too. I acknowledge it, but that's not what that's not my identity right there. And either if you're physically ugly or if you're good looking, when you find that beauty, you automatically transcend that. Now we are, I mean, I could now when you're cute, I I could see it too. It's both of us, baby. Find your beauty, motherfucker. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? Listen, man. Oh shit, almost hour and a half. All right, let me wrap it up real quick, guys. So technically, what we're saying is as you delving more into yourself, because that's the journey. That's how you build your inner strength, right? What you're doing is you're acknowledging your qualities, you're acknowledging yourself. And then trust me, as you're doing so, you will see how that those qualities have impact on other people. Either if it's a laugh that you're bringing out, either if it's whatever the fuck that you're doing, if you're a loyal friend, if you're a good person, even to be able to listen to somebody else, whatever the fuck it is, this is all your beauty that's now you're able to see and identify yourself with. Oh, come on, baby. Like now, I mean, that's why you got to believe in yourself. But I'll talk about that, a little, later. But I mean, I'm trying to get you to see where I'm going with all of that. And it cannot be done without the self. So, as you transitioning from the self image, you are truly acknowledging your true self. And there's a process that's taking place. And what we were talking about just now by me using the social awkwardness bullshit that I was talking about, it's part of my shadow work. Meaning, as you're delving into yourself, you're gonna have to deal with these emotional baggages as well, or blockages, however the fuck you look at it. But the more you cling into your true self, it's gonna be a breeze, baby. You'll get to see it. You'll see it dissipate in front of you. Like today, for me, that shit is no longer a fucking issue. If I go somewhere I don't want to talk, I'm not gonna talk. If I want, and if I'm gonna talk, it's gonna be what I want to talk about. Or sometimes too, man, I'll be bullshitting too. You know what I'm saying? If I get together with some other niggas, 'cause that's what niggas do. If this is shit, nigga, we're gonna have a nigga good time. Well, best believe, nigga. Hey, you know what I'm saying? But I have the freedom to do whatever the fuck I want on my time. That's what we're saying here. And that's how you pretty much turn your weakness into a strength. But you can only do that by acknowledging your true self. And as you're doing so too, you are also, you're going to start seeing the beauty in you. Get there. Go get your treasure, motherfucker. No, I don't want none of it. That's all you. Come on, I'm good. Well, I'm good, baby. I'm here for you. I mean, there was a little bit of me too in it. I mean, shit. I mean, I'm just, hey, I'm just gonna shine like that little star that I am. You know what I'm saying? Hey, yeah, it's. Listen, the words got to be made flesh. Oh, you got to know what this is when you see it. Oh, I'll make sure of that too. Not because of you, but because I'm radiating on that time. Anyway. Anyway, we're gonna leave it here. You know what I'm saying? Always remember for you to be you. Nobody else could be around, man. And if you can't tell me how stupid you used to be, you're probably still stupid. I shit. Ali.